My partner's mother is named Maria Elizabeth. She is 68 years old and lives in a small town near Lyon, France. For the third year in a row, she has been saving money for her final journey with an almost frightening enthusiasm, as if someone had officially handed her an invitation with a fixed date on it. She does this with such determination that at times it feels as though preparing for her own funeral has become her main life project. In general, as they say, everyone has their own way of going a little crazy, but the problem is that all of this directly affects our family budget. Maria Elizabeth saves almost her entire pension, every last euro. At the same time, she prefers to eat, dress, pay utility bills, and sometimes even buy medication at our expense. Her logic is simple. I'm saving for the future, and you're young. You'll manage somehow. Objections are not welcome. To be fair, for her age, Maria Elizabeth looks quite energetic. She is active, talkative, and loves discussing news and gossiping about the neighbors. However, she has significant excess weight, the result of many years of loving fatty food, pastries, and late-night meals. Sports have never been part of her life, and the word diet has always sounded almost offensive to her. In our family, the issue of elderly people's health is viewed differently. My own mother, for example, lives in Germany and undergoes routine medical checkups twice a year, gets tests done, and consults specialists. For her, this is simply normal. Maria Elizabeth, on the other hand, only went to doctors when the situation became truly critical. She ignored preventive checkups for years, considering them a waste of time and money. Last year, my partner and I practically had to force her to finally take care of her health. She resisted, brushed it off, postponed appointments, and came up with dozens of reasons why not yet. For example, she refused to go to the dentist for several months despite having a swollen cheek, because, according to her, the tooth didn't really hurt yet. Eventually, it developed into an infection, and only then did she agree to see a doctor. Since in the public healthcare system appointments with specialists can take months, sometimes up to half a year, we paid for private consultations and tests ourselves, out of our own pockets. Maria Elizabeth would never have spent that money on her own. For her, visiting doctors became a real feat, which she later recalled with tragic undertones, as if she had survived a major surgery. The test results were predictable: elevated blood sugar, early heart issues, and audible heart murmurs. Nothing fatal, nothing urgent, but the doctors were clear. She needed to change her lifestyle, monitor her diet, move more, keep her numbers under control, and undergo regular checkups. In short, the standard set of recommendations for someone her age. What would a reasonable adult do in such a situation? Gradually start making changes. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not all at once, but at least try. What did Maria Elizabeth do? She decided that all of this was direct proof of her imminent death and, with renewed energy, doubled down on saving for her funeral. She began regularly repeating that she doesn't have much time left, that everything is already clear, and that there's no point in fussing. She categorically refused to change her diet. The only thing she did was switch to buying a sugar substitute, and even that was solely because it comes in nice packaging and creates the illusion of self-care. That was the extent of all changes. Perhaps this story wouldn't have affected me so deeply if it hadn't turned into a constant financial burden for us. Maria Elizabeth thoroughly researched the prices of funeral services in France, memorial ceremonies, cemetery plots, and post-funeral gatherings. She was horrified and concluded that we definitely wouldn't be able to afford it. In her imagination, we were practically destitute and would, if it came to that, bury her somewhere on the outskirts without any ceremony. So she decided to take everything into her own hands. At the same time, she sincerely believes she is doing us a favor. More than once she has said, "You don't even realize how much money I'm going to save you in the future." A very questionable kind of saving, especially considering that it has been going on for 3 years now, while we are the ones paying for everything in the present. We tried stopping our financial support, hoping it would bring her back to reality and make her reconsider her behavior. In response, she stopped paying for her apartment and began complaining to the neighbors that her son had abandoned her in her old age. When my partner later came to visit her and ran into those neighbors in the stairwell, He was so ashamed that he couldn't sleep properly for days afterward. Talking to Maria Elizabeth has become almost impossible. Any conversation about the weather, shopping, or the news eventually turns into discussions about death, coffins, and funeral receptions. Recently, she was supposed to undergo follow-up medical tests again, but she refused, saying there was no point and that the end is coming anyway. Sometimes it seems to me that she needs professional help, but of course she refuses to hear anything about a psychologist or psychiatrist. In her view, she is perfectly fine, and it is everyone else who simply doesn't want to face the truth. And the most frightening part of this whole story is the feeling that a person is voluntarily living in a constant state of waiting for their own death, while pulling everyone around them into that same scenario.